And now it's time for Impact Corner with Dr. G and Miss Thang.
Good morning, Dr. G.
Well, good morning, Miss Thang. How you doing?
You know what? I'm good. It's a Monday.
Wow. It's Monday. Well, that's good to hear. And to my listening audience, good morning, good morning. A little wet outside, looks like. Haven't been outside yet, but it looks like a little something on my deck. But we're grateful that we can actually see the rain, feel the rain, because that means we are above ground, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, pretty much.
Maybe. So today, our focus on hashtag Help Her Lead, as we are challenged to lead through the sticky floor phenomenon. And so we're looking at a topic today, discovering our footing as we are challenged by the sticky floor phenomenon. So for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, we'd like to do a recap, a couple of leadership concepts we have touched on in prior weeks, such as the glass ceiling, which describes an invisible barricade that marginalizes women and other minority groups from reaching higher levels of professional status, and the glass cliff, referring to the fact that women or other minorities, again, are placed in leadership positions with the expectation that they are incapable of performing par excellence in their role. Now, these concepts hinge on the marginalization of women of color and other minority groups. And today we will consider another term that has been identified in academic literature, and that is the sticky floor phenomenon. The concept of the sticky floor was introduced by H. Elizabeth Peters and Barbara F. Reskin in their 1999 article, Is Not a Glass Ceiling, It's a Sticky Floor, Freeing Organizational Talent. Peters and Reskin were sociologists who conducted extensive research on gender and work, and their article focused on the barriers that prevent women from advancing in the workplace. In the article, they argued that while much attention has been paid to the glass ceiling phenomenon, which refers to the invisible barriers that prevent women from reaching high-level positions, less attention had been paid to the sticky floor phenomenon, which refers to the barriers that prevent women from moving up from lower-level positions. The concept of the sticky floor has since been widely used in discussions of gender and work and has been expanded to include other underrepresented groups who may face similar barriers to advancement. So, Dr. G, what does that have to do with me? Well, I'm so glad you asked this morning, because if we can't identify the biases demonstrated in the workplace or in the church house or in the community, political arenas, how about right in our homes? How will we ever navigate or overcome them? Again, the concept of sticky floor in leadership refers to a labeling of women and people of color by someone and or some people's insecurities that places women of color and other minority groups in low-level jobs with limited opportunities for advancement, despite possessing the necessary skills and qualifications. This labeling can occur for a variety of reasons, such as unconscious bias, systemic barriers, and cultural norms. For example, women may be overlooked for leadership positions due to stereotypes and assumptions about their abilities and priorities. People of color, especially women leaders of color, and other minority types, even in today's exposition of personalization and technology, will be exposed to discrimination and limited access to networking opportunities. In other words, the sticky floor implies that persons from these marginalized groups will find themselves stuck even though they possess the necessary talents and abilities to succeed and are hindered by these, let's call them invisible societal forces that limit opportunities for advancement. Invisible societal forces, those underlying social, cultural, and systemic factors that shape our behaviors, our beliefs, and opportunities but are not always easily apparent or explicitly acknowledged. These forces can influence individuals' lives and contribute to the various inequalities and barriers experienced in the workplace. So here are some examples. So hopefully you can relate to some of these. Gender bias. These invisible biases and stereotypes surrounding gender roles can create expectations and assumptions about the abilities and roles of men and women. But since our focus is #HelpHerLead, we are looking through the lens of how these biases impact women in leadership. Gender bias may lead to women being overlooked for promotions, assigned fewer challenging tasks, or increased tasks without support, or facing double standards that make it harder for women to progress in their careers. As I said a couple of weeks back, somehow we have to swim the English Channel to prove to everyone that we can swim. Racial discrimination. These invisible biases based on race can lead to systemic discrimination, unequal opportunities, and limited access to resources for these same marginalized racial or ethnic groups. These biases can result in lower representation in leadership positions. We have the ability to be elevated in the workplace, but for whatever strange reason, these invisible societal forms cause us to miss these opportunities. And these biases can result in lower representation in leadership positions, reduced access to quality education or job opportunities, and unequal treatment in various areas of life. And to throw in a curveball, you may have been given the opportunity because the organization must show equal opportunity regardless of gender or color, and you've been elevated or promoted, but you've been sitting on the edge of the glass cliff or placed in a leadership position with limited support, which prohibits the real support that propels growth, because at least one or two of your leaders provide these subtle roadblocks that makes it appear that you are incapable of performing par excellence in your role. How about lack of representation? The underrepresentation of certain groups in influential or decision-making roles can be an invisible societal force that hinders progress. You have the title of leader, yet there are no teeth behind your leadership title. Or you use the power with discretion, of course, that's associated with the position, but you have experienced humiliation, condemnation, and simply no respect when you've had to make decisions. Then now you say absolutely nothing. And when individuals do not see themselves represented in positions of power or authority, it can limit their aspirations and create a sense of exclusion or inequality. The last point, cultural expectations. Societal expectations or cultural norms and stereotypes can shape perceptions of what is considered appropriate or acceptable behavior with career choices or life paths. These expectations can restrict individuals' choices, leading to a limited range of opportunities and reinforcing those societal inequalities. You see, the effects of the sticky floor can be significant, as it can perpetuate the underrepresentation of certain groups in leadership positions and limit the diversity of perspectives and experience in decision-making roles. So to address this issue, organizations can take steps to actively identify and address barriers to advancement, provide mentoring and networking opportunities, and create a culture of inclusion and equity. The women leader, because of who we are, we have a critical role to play in addressing the sticky floor phenomenon. #HelpHerLead. One important step that we can take is to actively seek out and mentor individuals from underrepresented groups. This can involve in providing guidance and support to help these individuals develop the skills and competencies they need to advance in their careers. We can also work to create a more inclusive and diverse workplace culture by advocating for policies and practices that promote equity and fairness. In addition, as women leaders, we can play another intricate role in challenging stereotypes and biases that contribute to the sticky floor phenomenon. And this may involve actively working to eliminate the biases in hiring and promotion decisions while educating our teams on the values and the diverse and creative ideas that assist with promoting the organization's brand by creating opportunities for individuals from underrepresented groups to showcase their skills and abilities. By taking these steps, we can help to create a more equitable and inclusive workplace where all individuals have the opportunity to reach their full potential. Now, here's a caveat. Although the concept of the sticky floor was first introduced in the context of gender and work, it has since been expanded to include other underrepresented groups who may face similar barriers to advancement. So today's nugget for newness. If we can't identify the biases demonstrated in the workplace, we have them in church houses with reference to leadership, in the community when we're being appointed to serve a community, but those biases get in the way and we're there, but we're just there as a face, but like we have no brain. If it's in the political arenas, you know, your agenda says you got to have women, you got to have minority women in your camps, but we don't respect them or acknowledge their input. If we're right in our own homes and the way we're treated in the workplace, we translate those activities or those behaviors in the home, and we place those ideas or ideologies on top of our children, and then in turn we spread this disease or phenomenon. How will we ever navigate or overcome them? So the closing tagline for today: the women leader. Because of who we are, we have a critical role to play in addressing the sticky floor phenomenon. So hashtag help her lead. Let's begin working to create a more inclusive and diverse workplace culture by advocating for policies and practices that promote equity and fairness, and that create opportunities for individuals from underrepresented groups to showcase their skills and abilities, where all individuals will have the opportunity to reach their full potential. I'm a few minutes out. I know today was a day that we were going into academic literature because I've heard persons ask about the glass ceiling and the glass cliff. Mm-hmm. And there are many, many topics that have been researched. Women in the workplace has been a very complex topic to research. And it's not because we are complex, but it's not in a negative way, but to understand who we are and how we operate so that the male in our work environment will not feel, some might feel intimidated. They might disrespect us because of ignorance. But we have so much to offer in the workplace. Now, we have many organizations that recognize our worth, but there are many that still hold that shield of, for lack of a word, segregating our abilities. And so the sticky floor phenomenon is real. And we get placed in these positions. They give us a little taste. They promote us to supervisor. They don't give us a skill set where a person has done a great job as they say, I'm a seamstress. I'm not knocking seamstress. I'm in a factory. I've been doing this job forever. I'm really, really good at what I do. And then they promote me to supervisor, but they haven't given me any skills to be a supervisor. And then I got promoted to a manager. I want us to realize, ladies and gents, that we manage systems and processes. We cannot manage people. And so when we're moved in these positions of management without the tools, all they've technically done is moved us from off the floor in an office, but we're taking the same traits and habits into the office. And then we're not able to promote our teams or elevate our teams or advance our teams because we don't know how to do it ourselves. And we're there in that position to, forever and ever, amen. And we can get out of that. So we're at the end of this segment. So hashtag help her lead. Remember, you're the composer with a pen. Begin transcribing your destiny. Ladies, you've got this. Be intentional today and claim your success. As we stated, we can shift this phenomenon by our actions, the sticky floor phenomenon. Miss Thang, anything before I give my final comments?
No, absolutely not. I have listened intently, and I'm sure my listening audience, they were listening as well.
Well, next week, we will consider the Queen Bee Syndrome. So do you display hostile or unsupportive behavior towards other women, or are you forced to adopt more traditionally to the masculine leadership styles to fit existing power structures, and somewhere in between, you've lost your true identity? If that's you, you want to join in on this session next week. So again, I invite you to follow me on any one of my SM platforms, Facebook at Godwin International, Twitter at Godwin INTL, email info@godwininternational.org, LinkedIn, Georgette Prime-Godwin. So Miss Thang,
yes,
have a wonderful day.
You too, Dr. G. Same time next week.
Yes, ma'am. Have a great one.
Have a great one.